the arts as an entity.
I know what you're saying.
Okay. I got you. Making music, all that stuff. Is that valuable in a society? Because at the same time, we are saying that, sure, obviously we all consume it. Right. We want to consume it, but we don't place any value on it.
Lone, I want to do a reaction to that one that you shared about Spotify's subscription tier where they make the audio books and they
Spotify did another bad thing. Shouts to Anthony Fantano.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is pretty good video. It's
entertaining.
Real good video though.
Shouts to Fantano. How about I turn it on?
What do I do? What was the point of this channel before, like, beef and stuff? I'm having a total loss of identity. I don't even know what's going on anymore. Oh, that's right. I used to hate on Spotify. I know some of you guys in the comments are like, I don't like Drake, or I don't like Kendrick. But please don't lose sight of the fact that the #1 enemy of music today is music streaming giant Spotify, who have recently found another way to be disgusting and unlikable, pulling over $100 million potentially out of the songwriting community with these recent price hikes and royalty alterations they've announced as of late. Yeah, if you are a Spotify premium subscriber and it's your first time hearing it here, the premium price is going up. So if the prospect of that annoys you, might be time to switch. But if that's not enough, let me tell you why this price hike is happening and how it's going to screw over songwriters even more. Ever since Spotify managed to corner the music market, the platform has been seeking out ways to kind of branch out beyond music and become some kind of all-encompassing media hub for its users. For a while, they were throwing millions and millions of dollars at the podcast market with little to nothing in the way of positive results outside of Joe Rogan now being full-time on there talking about conspiracy theories like an idiot. So with the podcast thing kind of being a bust, it seems like the company's new focus is going to be on audio books. And the way they're expanding for them on the platform is kind of devious. Per Billboard over here, by adding audiobooks into Spotify's premium tier, the music streaming service now claims it qualifies to pay a discounted bundle rate to songwriters for premium streams, given Spotify now has to pay licensing for both books and music at the same price tag, which will only be $1 higher than when music was the only premium offering. Additionally, Spotify will reclassify its duo and family subscription plans as bundles as well. When you actually think of the way that music used to be purchased and valued, and how songwriters and rights holders and recording artists used to actually make money from their music, how it's kind of transitioned into this, it's kind of insane. Rather than just simply getting paid off of the purchase of an album through whichever means you buy it, we're now seeing artists and songwriters getting paid through some kind of like big, vague royalty pool that Spotify sets aside beforehand. And rather than setting aside some other separate fat pool of cash that these writers of books are most definitely worthy of, Spotify is now instead just raising its price just a little bit and then throwing an untold number of book writers and publishers into that royalty pool from premium subscriptions, whose value from payouts, from what I'm gathering, are no longer going to be as impactful due to the fact that they're being bundled and collapsed.
There's more here, but he's already said a lot.
Yeah, I think he's explained it. I think the rest of it is just commentary.
Probably.
Dude, we'll take over for the commentary.
Yeah, I think the interesting point, against to kind of recap that, is they're going to be putting in audiobooks into the same subscription tier as your regular plan, which for the consumer is great.
That's awesome. For
the consumer, but when you only jack up the price $1 and then you siphon that money away from music when it's already being siphoned away,
that part,
it's super problematic. And it's another one of the reasons why I removed all my music from Spotify recently.
It's 100, what did he say, 150, the potential hit for the writers was 150 million, he said?
I don't
There was a little article that there was something flashed up there. Bro, they always find a way to undercut the creative.
Yes.
It's clockwork at this point. We're going to add, like Terry said, cool, audiobooks, go up $1. I mean, as a consumer, it's like, I got access to all of this. That's dope. But there's still the undercut that's going on. Lone talked about the imaginary pool a long time ago.
The consumer could care less, though. That's how they win.
Right.
Because, and this kind of goes back to the artist talk we just had. If you're an artist and you're not putting out all that extra fluff in order to get attention on you, then this doesn't help you unless you're like a top tier artist. If you're doing all the extra stuff, you may be making money off your streams and your reels and things like that. But then you're adding books to the play too. And they don't make a whole lot of money anyway off the streaming, do they?
I don't know
what their pay scale is.
It's a completely different type of model,
Right?
So I don't know what like the cut is for like a Kindle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know what that is, but
I remember when I would buy books for my e-reader, I would just buy it. So like,
yeah, same.
It would be like $10-15 for the book. I download it, I own it. It's just the digital version of it.
So this is a way to screw over authors as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So even when I would buy what's the platform on Google where you buy books? Audible? I think it might be Audible.
Well, that's Amazon now.
Well, Amazon?
I think it's Audible.
So it's like $10-15 a month, but you get like 2 or 3 books. Yeah. So I imagine they split that money between those 3 downloads that you get. Or like you can get like 2 premium downloads or 3 smaller books, something like that. It's something like that, but you can't just get on there and read every book that you want to read.
Right.
But now with them doing this, it opens that whole library up to where I don't have to wait until I get my credit for the next month to start reading another book. So that's messy, man.
There was a topic that I suggested a while ago about the value of art.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a perfect way to kind of segue that conversation in, because I feel like this all comes down to the fact that as a society, as much as we want to say that we value art and the creative things that are involved, we actually value convenience way more than the art.
Definitely.
And even to the point to where, let me just spin it a little bit. So I was having a conversation with one of my students a while ago, and we got into this weird socio-political conversation back and forth about stuff. But at the same time, it came down to the conversation of, does art add value to society?
Right.
And his argument, now granted, he's a younger kid, you know what I mean? And he was definitely influenced by his grandparents and all that other stuff. But he was essentially saying that, there's, nobody should pursue art as a job. This should only be a hobby, right? And I feel like that mindset in general is very closely tied into everything that we just watched and everything that we're talking about right now. It's like we do not value art we really just don't value art as a society. And the question I would pose, and we can talk about all this stuff, but the question that I would pose on this is, how do we better in today's society? How do we push the needle to, one, make art actually be valuable, while also challenging this whole concept that getting everything at our fingertips is better than the art? You know what I mean? I don't know how I worded that.
Too far gone.
It may be.
Yeah,
I think honestly the horse is out of the barn.
Yeah.
Because they tried to do it. This is what I saw as an attempt to do it, is when everybody was talking about NFTs.
Yeah.
And making those pieces of art and applying it to the blockchain, and to Web3 and the new technology.
They took the wrong approach.
Yeah. And I just don't think it connected with people because they didn't understand it. There are people who still invest in Bitcoin and don't quite understand it, but at least that's something that they can see is something
but they know that it's tangible when it comes down to being able to do something with it.
Exactly.
And NFT was an idea of what the future is going to be. So you need to get ahead of the curve. You need to get these NFTs because in the future, this is where you're going to make your money.
I think that's the benefit, and what a lot of artists saw, to your guys' point, I think that's a lot of us were like, oh, I see the opportunity here to kind of combat the fact that, everything is being devalued.
Right.
Because if I sell a song NFT and I have 1,000 copies of that, anybody can hear it. But if you want to own it, every time that's like reshared or whatever, a portion of that goes back to the owner. It's like, I don't know. It was just kind of a cool structure.
It seemed like something that I was like, okay, I can get behind this.
Yeah,
but it just didn't work because they were making everything NFTs, pictures of monkeys smoking cigarettes.
Everything was monkeys.
Like I was like, I have no value in this. It's just a picture of a monkey in a baseball hat.
Yeah,
but
to hang in my virtual reality, home,
right?
And that didn't take off like people thought. And
it still can. I mean,
I think it's ahead of its time.
I honestly think as far as the virtual reality situation going, it's going to get there because it's gradually getting better and better. Like I have the Oculus 2.
Okay.
I've tried out the Oculus 3 and it's like crazy. compared to it. So I can only imagine what the Apple version is like, but the price point is just too crazy.
$3,500?
Nobody's investing that money in that.
Look,
and there's no games on it.
Look, this is how I knew that it was too high a price point. It wasn't anything. Is when my man DJ Lockstar didn't get one.
Yeah, that is true.
But again, but back
he gets
to
everything. I was like, he was like,
but
nah,
back
cool.
to like the conversation though, like is there like how do we as a society, because everything that he's mentioning right now, or that Fantano mentioned, like about Spotify, it definitely goes into this value conversation. And to me, I know I always take it there, but it also is definitely related to capitalism and just like how everything is about making money. Everything
right now,
to the point
for
of
the
where
corporations, not for the artists.
Yeah, it's about making money at the behest of everything.
Yes.
And in return, it's like programming everybody to devalue art in the process to where it, cool. Yeah, I love art, but I don't want to actually put any money towards this art. I just want to experience this cool thing, but I don't want to actually support it in the way to artists actually exist. And I think it's kind of a tale it's old as time, but I feel like it's really highlighted right now.
Well,
I think it kind of goes back to where I was saying that I think that ship has sailed as far as if we can go backwards, because all right, so we have all these streaming platforms and things where you can buy books or listen to books and listen to music. The only way that this happens to where it reverses is if the artists and authors all had a collective and came together and did something. It comes down to the artist now, because now you have a corporation that doesn't have your best interest at heart. The consumer doesn't have your best interest at heart, because all they want is the ease of access at the end of the day. They don't really care. I mean, they care about the product that you're putting out, but there's so much product that we can get to now. There's like, if your product they don't like it, I can just move on to a different product and keep doing that. You know what I'm saying? So it's the ease of access, even with kids. I mean, my daughter is 4 and she can probably operate a phone, a tablet, whatever, better than anybody that's 50, 60 years old. She's 4 years old, and her programming now is to know exactly what to do on there, exactly what apps to go to, exactly what to look for. If she's done with it within 2 minutes, I'm on to the next one. She doesn't care about how much money you made.
Right.
And this is the future and where we're going. So, I mean, I don't think there's no way to correct it unless
I think you actually mentioned it though. Because
as far as the artists and authors all coming together and creating a collective. That's the only way, though.
Which, and again, that goes back to my societal conversation about, if we talk about what the difference between a capitalism and a socialism is, all the money in capitalism goes to that the ownership class, whereas socialism, it's like it pays to the workers. So it supports collectives in that aspect. So maybe not exactly to that, but it's the same idea of taking the ownership back in that realm. And if you take out that record label or that person at the top, that Spotify, that entity that is only focused, even these social media platforms, that the only goal is literally to profit off of everybody else's work. They're not they're not adding value. Everybody on the apps are adding value.
Yeah.
The whole model has to shift to some degree. And I think it might have to take some sort of societal revolution for something like that to happen. And the thing is, art is always going to exist.
Yes.
So it's not like art is going to go away. And so when something is going to
Terry's
bubble,
collective idea is dope.
But then
I think
it would take for everybody to do it. So, but then if
he asked about value though, he said in terms of value, to me, it's limiting. Like with the art, if you limit the art, then
but you can't. The thing about it is, as an artist, if this is your bread and butter, this is how you eat, you necessarily can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So you if a collective were to happen, it would have to be so airtight and know that it's going to work for a lot of people to even sign on to it.
I think it almost has to operate outside of the current system that we're in too. Because right now, what if like artists could exist, and they could contribute to society in ways that they want, but they didn't have to at the same time have to make money from music, right? Imagine an artist, I could do all the things that I can do that I want to do to contribute to society, but I also could make my art freely and distribute it how I want to.
Right.
I feel like it's an entire conscious shift, which I don't know if we're ready for in general. I feel like,
And then you got AI coming up.
Yep.
that's what I mean.
I mean,
like,
it's here. Not coming up, it's here.
And it's the oversaturation era. So, like you said, there's so much of everything everywhere. So the importance of it alone is going to be devalued because I can always go get something. But I don't know, man. Terry's idea is really dope, I think. But it would have to be its own separate, like y'all said, it have to be unplugged completely from the matrix in order for it to, I guess, be somewhat successful.
But Longevity spoke to the convenience of of even having access to art, whether it be books, movies, music. You know, you talked about your daughter just being able to navigate, you know, through these screens and get to whatever she wants. As she grows up, you're going to talk to her about like, oh yeah, going to buy CDs. She's going to be like, all right, pops. You know, it sounds like something foreign, because what we've done now is we've conditioned people to not even think that they have to buy music.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's getting to that way with movies, because now we have
that way with movies.
We have day one releases of movies on streaming services. But at least with like the stuff that's supposed to be in the movie theater, like I remember during the pandemic, you know, the stuff that couldn't come out in the movie theater, my friend said he would pay the $20 to watch.
Be cheaper.
Yeah, but instead of having to buy tickets for 4 people, popcorn, park, and pay for gas.
Yeah,
he's like $20, and we get to watch it as many times as we want for 48 hours. That's a deal.
The Mad Max joint, the new movie that's coming out for that, I think it's called Furiosa.
Yeah,
I saw the trailer for that. I believe that's going to be in the theater one day, and I think it goes right to streaming after that.
And that's honestly just for novelty at this point, because a lot of people aren't going to these movie theaters.
It's really not low key. It's not necessary.
It is for people that want to hear it well. So this is, like I said, novelty. So this is for people that want to hear the Dolby surround sound or the 4D surround sound, the landscapes.
It's like buying a piece of vinyl.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Exactly. It's for people that are movie buffs that want to have that movie feel.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, people have movie theaters or movie setups at home. You got big TVs or projectors, and you got surround sound speakers, and you don't want to leave the comfort of your home. You're going to do it right there, and it's the ease of access.
You talk about convenience. You know, just think about the times, you know, where you had to, like, not only convenience, ease of access, and this is we talk about value. As soon as there was a way for people to download music, and we're talking about at this point almost 25 years ago with Napster,
right?
People did it. It wasn't like
we're all guilty. Everybody sitting at this table is guilty.
Yes,
and we're giddy and happy about being able to do that in the comfort of our own home. It would take a long time for that to download. It was dial-up still. Right, but still, once you got that download and burnt it onto your CD, you were satisfied.
Facts.
And you were happy about what you
like,
just did.
I don't feel bad about having to listen. You know, I got it when I wanted it.
Yeah.
As opposed to you giving it to me when you feel I should have it.
We were smack dab in that era and watched that. We've seen all of this evolve. But we were literally there and we saw all of this.
But I remember when, you know, iTunes hit, and then there was like the others through Amazon. I remember buying a bunch of albums.
Zune player?
No, like the actual access to the music.
Yeah.
You know, because like at a certain point, like if you give me an easier way for me to buy something, as opposed to trying to figure out how to steal it and infecting my compact Presario with it, then I did that. But then when
that's what streaming is.
Then when streaming came along, I said, well, I'm not even going to buy these records now. I'm not even going to buy these MP3s now.
Yeah,
there has to be more incentive.
Yeah, you know, but once again, it's about the value statement that people have, you know, and it's affecting every single, like you said with the movies, just pay me $20. Where, you know, it used to be there's no more physical media unless you go to a record store and like to buy that piece of vinyl. Now vinyls outsells every other physical media, including DVDs and Blu-rays, and it's going to get to the point where even outselling, like think about, like, you know, 3 of the 4 of us are still pretty, you know, into gaming, you know, but when's the last time we went to GameStop, reserved a game, and picked it up the day of?
Listen, I reserve a game now online.
We're still buying
I reserve it online, and it's downloaded and ready to go on release day.
Like they'll do now pre-downloads through Game Pass. And so when the game is technically released, I don't have to wait to download it. It's already on my hard drive.
Yeah, exactly.
So y'all will feel pretty much, you would be like fish out of water at this point, trying to go to a store to pick up anything. based off how everything
The
is done
only
now.
thing I would buy.
Would there ever be a reason
The only
to do
thing
that?
I'd buy now are things that aren't available because of some licensing issue.
Oh, okay.
Like if I found a copy of Def Jam Fight for New York, I'd buy that. But other than
And honestly,
that,
I probably have that somewhere. I just have to find
I
it.
just have to find it.
Yeah.
But like as far as actual, and the thing is, like I said, I'm not buying as on Xbox and their ecosystem. I'm not really buying the games either. I have Game Pass.
Well, let me ask you this. So with all this being said that we said, is art valuable in society?
No, let's just keep it real. No, not as far as us spending money on it. It's becoming less and less valuable every day, and with the advent of certain technology and with the internet getting faster and hard drives getting larger, I'm sorry, we just don't have.
It has to be some type of. It has to be some type of like wax is to the test of time. So it has to be something like.
I mean specifically.
I know what you're saying.
The arts as an entity.
I know what you're
Painting,
saying.
Oh, okay,
film
I got you,
creating, making music, all
got
that
you.
stuff. Is that valuable in a society? Because at the same time, we are saying that, sure, obviously we all consume it.
Right.
We want to consume it, but we don't place any value on it.
The live experiences are becoming more like when you see the price of tickets to go see somebody in a stadium or theater or any type of venue. Like clearly people have value on that because they're willing to spend $200 and $300 on a ticket to go to a concert.
Right.
Overall, I still think the value's low though. Now I see what you're talking about. You're talking about overall.
We're talking about physical media, the things that people, hey, buy my CD. Like a guy tried to sell me a CD, and I was like, what could possibly be on this?
I guess I'm even taking it further from a societal standpoint.
I know what you're saying.
Of somebody who, like me, who has decided to be a musician. What are the incentives for me to want to be a musician? Is there a place in society for people that want to pursue that as a job, or is there no value to society from that point of view?
I won't say it's no value, but what I will say is that it may turn into something that only the wealthy participate in.
Because they have the time and space and money.
They have the time, space, and money, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost going back to medieval times, essentially. So we're going backwards, as far as who's going to be able to pay for and appreciate the arts, so to speak, and actually want the physical form of it versus the dialed down streaming version of it. You know what I'm saying? Based on something to hand down for generations and generations.
Right.
It's going to be the very privileged who get to go see Taylor Swift. And the rest of you have to wait for the concert film when it hits Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where it's going because there will always be value.
But will there even be Taylor Swifts is my question. Yeah, I'm taking it further because if we don't put value on the artist by putting money behind them,
how do they survive?
Where's the incentive? Where's the incentive for any artist to even try to create art and exist at the same time?
Well, sometimes it's merely for the love. Like sometimes art is people's lifeblood. This is what keeps them going. They like to create. They have to create in order to feel like they fulfilled a purpose, essentially.
I think that's a section. I see where you're going in terms of would she quote unquote exist because I see what Terry is saying. I agree with that 100%, but I think that's a section because what is the incentive? Like if it gets to the point people like that could disappear.
Yeah, I mean, it's just from a societal standpoint. If we only have value in engineers and architects, and there's still art involved in those things. Don't get it twisted. But if it's only these things, but we don't have any societal value in these things,
or what if it's like super commercialized, where there's pretty much a business that runs, and all these artists work for this business, and they just give you an hourly rate to create your art. So you create your art. And you receive a wage in order to create your art, a living wage, and they hold the pretty much the ownership of your art, and they can do what they want with your art.
Don't give anybody any ideas.
But the thing is that kind of already exists. That's essentially what a record label is.
It is, but like people that do physical art though.
Oh, I see.
Like say the arts is not making. You know what I'm saying? Money like that.
So I'm
hiring a bunch of artists of all kinds, music artists, actually painting artists, things of that nature. I'm paying you an hourly rate to create your art for me or for our company. And in turn, I have the proprietorship of your art.
Yeah.
But I'm paying you a living wage. So you're able to survive
What a horrible
through your
existence,
art.
though.
What a,
Yes.
exactly.
But
bro.
I mean, that's
I
kind
know,
of where
I know.
it's going.
But
I know. I
but
agree.
think
I don't
about it.
disagree.
This whole thing with Spotify right now, it's a negotiation between these companies and them as a DSP. Nobody's gone in and renegotiated their record contract to see what they're like. It's not, the artist isn't even involved in the decision making
Nah.
here. So what you're describing is kind of what's already happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just in a different way. You're
Just in a different
you're
way,
just
yeah.
kind of describing it in 30 years.
Yeah,
Yep.
you're
You know what I mean?
describing at least the artist getting paid a living wage.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's not what's happening with the majority of the people whose music is streaming on Spotify.
that would be such a bad.
That would be because
Experience.
what ends up happening is, like, to what your point is, do people want to keep doing the art?
Yeah.
So once there's a void of art and people are missing that void, then okay, we got to figure something else out to get these people paid for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then in turn, that it happens, and that's
It's that, so yeah. So yeah, I had this conversation was sparked by a 15-year-old student of mine, and I kind of, when he said, well, there's no value to society, and it kind of stumped me for like 2 or 3 days. Like I'm sitting here thinking, like, man, is he right? Like because at the same time he's saying no, everybody should get these type of jobs. There's no value in art, and it's like, it's not even that he's right. It's just that his mindset is where we are. You know what I mean? And that mindset in general, like, I don't want a 15-year-old to believe that. I don't want a 15-year-old to think like, man, this is just here for my amusement. This there's no value in this at all, except for what I can give to other people or through corporations, or like I'm only valuable if I can give something to somebody. And it's like it's such a messed up mindset to kind of exist in.
yeah,
And which we are in, but we're not all the way in yet.
not all the way there.
So-
But I mean, you got AI, so you have corporations that
Sure
will
out there
have,
trying.
yeah, we'll have. If you pay us a certain fee, you will get physical work versus AI work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is just where stuff is going. I kind of see the future as far as that's concerned. It's weird.
Corporations, man. I'm telling you, that's why I'm so. That's why I talk about it all the time, because it's such
It's
a
about
problem.
to get spooky
It's
out
such
here,
a
man.
problem.
Yeah.
It's about to get spooky out here.
It's about to be like that. Ready Player One is making a whole lot of sense right now.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen that movie?
Yeah, I know exactly what
It
you're
makes a whole lot of sense.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's actually one of my
now
favorite.
y'all got me want to go watch it.
It's one of my favorite, more recent movies that have came out in probably the last 10, 15
Yeah, I
years.
streamed it.
I really like the concept of it, like the idea of it, and I think it would be dope for that to exist. It's just like,
It kind of does exist, though.
but I mean, like, to the extreme, like
Yeah.
in the movie,
Yeah,
what
I
mean?
feel you.
But like,
It's kind of like back in '98 when Enemy of the State movie came out. Remember seeing those?
Will Smith.
With Will Smith, seeing the cameras and stuff in the sky that was tracing people. That stuff is so real right now. It's like even beyond that. And I remember watching that movie in '98, like, this is crazy. Like, can they really do that?
you know what I just found out about? I kind of feel dumb about it. What I just found out that the internet existed in the 60s.
Oh yeah,
And it was for military use. They used it.
yeah.
They didn't make it available to the public until obviously they did. But I was like, oh wow, this has existed for like 30 years before we even talked about it.
Yeah.
I was like,
So we just weren't able to get on there and do the same type of activities.
well, we couldn't do anything because it was
Yeah.
all
Right.
only military.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
bulletin boards. Like I remember this. Look, I found out about the internet when Mortal Kombat 2 came out. No, I'm just serious because I was like, how do these people know the moves day one?
Oh,
And it
yeah.
was like, oh, we saw it on the bulletin board. I was like, what, like at school?
Or you had to get a Nintendo
He said like
Power
it's
or
cool.
something like that.
Yeah. So no, it was like there
What
was
was the
people
other
who had
game-
access to
game
like war
magazine?
games
Game
type
Pro.
stuff.
Game Pro, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they had access to, I mean, you could see like movies about the internet, like War Games with Matthew Broderick. Like that was the internet, but like, wasn't nobody trying to do all that?
Yeah, yeah.